Welcome to our commencement ceremony and congratulations to the class of 2025. I'm Nancy Stout, the Dean of the RAND School of Public Policy, and it's an honor to be with you here in beautiful Santa Monica. I'd like to invite everyone on the stage to take your seats. To commemorate this special day for and the graduates. The graduates will stay seated for the next 2 hours. To commemorate this special day, we're taking lots of pictures and we're celebrating in so many different ways. And we'd also like to take a couple selfies. I'd like to invite Soledad O'Brien to join us because she's an expert selfie taker. And to all of you graduates and everybody else, you need to lean in and cheer because we're going to post. And also, Soledad has a great following. So feel free to take selfies, stand up, cheer, do whatever you want to do. So, okay. Well done. Thank you, Soledad. Today, we're here to celebrate the hard work, the dedication, and resilience of our 67 graduates. Now, we've been celebrating our RAND School graduates for over half a century, but this graduation is special. Special because for the first time, we're celebrating students on 2 campuses in Santa Monica here today, and next Tuesday on the Washington, D.C. campus. All right, yeah. Today also marks the first graduating class of our new Masters of National Security. To our inaugural class of National Security and to our National Security Program Director, Rafi Cohen, congratulations on this historic moment. And to our proud family members, friends, faculty, and staff, none of this would have been possible without all of you. Congratulations and thank you for all that you have done. We are living in, well, interesting times, but it's a period that can be as exciting as it is challenging. Many of you have worked on today's most important issues, whether through your capstone projects, your dissertations, or your OJT work. You've tackled geopolitical, economic, health, and biological threats. You've explored the rise of technology innovations and found that while they are a threat in their own right, they also bring opportunities to improve how we work, how we learn, and how we solve complex problems. Beyond the classroom, right here in Los Angeles, many of us not only witnessed the devastation of the wildfires, but felt it firsthand alongside our families, colleagues, friends, and even pets. Sushil Tyagi, you are graduating today with our inaugural class of Masters of National Security. You had to evacuate your family in just minutes, and out of necessity, you brought your dog Romeo to campus. Now, for those of you who don't know Romeo, he's probably 175 pounds, looks that big. He's super friendly, and he became our school mascot in probably just a few minutes. As I watched Romeo holding court with faculty, staff, and students, I thought first, he doesn't seem to mind the evacuation, but second, I thought the evacuation is a reminder of the policies that we study. They're not just abstractions. We come together every single day to work on issues that are literally key to our survival. With your RAND School education, you have the power to shape, and you will shape the future. What do I mean by this? Well, Sergio Araujo, a graduate in our Masters of National Security program, studied the interplay of space policy and deterrence in the context of China. His work underscores the importance of satellites and global security in the Indo-Pacific region. Congratulations, Sergio. Susanna Petrosian, an MPhil graduate, has been exploring sanctions, tariffs, and outright trade bans. She helped build a forecasting model that allows policymakers to understand the impact of their strategies in real time. Well done, Susanna. And Tim Wu, he's graduating today with his PhD. His dissertation examines the Army's logistical challenges of moving heavy equipment and forces by rail from the homeland. With Tim's input, the Army will be able to cut the red tape and arrive quickly and efficiently to its destination. Tim, we're so proud of you. Of course, today is not just about individual achievements. It's about the journey that we've shared together. And what a journey it's been. From our national security students, I've heard stories about the perfect mix of theory and practice, the brilliance of our faculty. You've even recruited friends to join our program. What an enormous compliment to the school. One of you tried to teach the entire class how to speak Spanish over the course of a year, a noble effort by Alejandro Cano Hampton. Others shared a simple thought. Too bad this new program couldn't last a little longer. And who could blame you? We're surrounded by such inspiring peers and brilliant minds, and the occasional impromptu Spanish lesson. From our PhD students, the stories are equally inspiring and sometimes hilarious. Writing a third chapter of a dissertation was compared to having a third baby. And where else but RAND could a PhD student join a presentation to a four-star general, only to have that four-star general turn the tables and ask about your dissertation? To Nathan Thompson, who experienced exactly this turn of events, we know you handled the challenge excellently and perfectly. Some of you learned how to sail, surf, others moved families, sold property, uprooted your entire lives to join our PhD program. And to Christina Holienska, you shared that not only are you graduating today, starting a new job at RAND, but also tomorrow is your special birthday. Happy early birthday, Christina. Our MPhil students shared stories of resilience and camaraderie. Your cohort worked hard and you felt guilty about taking breaks and vacations. But at the same time, you marveled about how easy and fun it's been to work long hours with such smart people. 3 of you endured the unimaginable loss of your apartment in a fire just 2 months after arriving to RAND, surviving with almost nothing and relying on the kindness of friends. Another shared being evacuated during the LA wildfires 2 years later, led to your moving in with a friend who was in turn living with 2 other Randites. And you described this time together as the nerdiest of times, but also the most fun, despite the tragic circumstances that brought you together. Class of 2025, you're thoughtful, caring, and funny too. You came to RAND to make a difference, and you understand the road to policy change is long and arduous. As you embark on your new chapter, remember you're not just graduates of the RAND School of Public Policy, you are ambassadors for our values and our mission. Lead with courage, and never forget the community that helped you get to where you are today. Class of 2025, congratulations. I'm now honored to introduce the president and CEO of RAND, Jason Matheny. Jason is a loyal champion of our mission, our school, and our students. His belief that RAND is the perfect place to train the next generation of global policy leaders has helped the school build on its legacy from the last half century into the next. His vision is at once ambitious and disciplined, taking both RAND and the RAND School of Public Policy to heights we had never even imagined. Before joining RAND just 3 years ago, Jason led White House policy on technology and national security at the National Security Council and the Office of Science and Technology Policy. His impressive background includes time at Oxford University, the World Bank, Princeton, and Georgetown. And if that wasn't enough, Jason is the recipient of many honors. He was named one of foreign policy's top 50 global thinkers and has been profiled in the New York Times for his brilliant research. Jason, thank you for all that you do.
Thanks so much, Nancy. Good morning, everybody, and congratulations, graduates. You're here because you have an ambition to address the world's most pressing problems, and you believe that these problems have a better chance of being solved when you analyze them rigorously. Seeing your talent is one of the reasons that, like Nancy, I'm hopeful about the future. The RAND School of Public Policy began 55 years ago when our researchers recognized the growing need for agile problem solvers. Problem solvers who could address many complex challenges that cross domains and were vital to the protection of society going forward. The idea was to create a unique learning institution that integrated the RAND mission with academic studies, to connect students with our experts, and to blend coursework with real-world policy analysis. The school started with 1 program and 11 students, and today there are 4 programs and a student body of more than 200. While the RAND School of Public Policy has grown, its mission hasn't changed: to provide the next generation of policy leaders and strategists with an unparalleled education in policy analysis. I'm proud of the school's role in shaping the next generation of RAND-like minds, and I'm especially proud of the strong two-way collaboration between the school and the broader RAND. Over the years, the school has become a central part of our institution and of our impact. Students have the opportunity to learn from RAND experts. Many work with our research staff on projects. And at the same time, students ask questions that challenge our researchers to think about issues from a new angle. Both in the classroom and through on-the-job training, students offer insights that lead to new ways of solving problems. And this exchange of ideas across our institution makes our work stronger and more innovative. I hope that your connections to RAND and the school stay strong as you move on to your next endeavor. And during your time here, you experience firsthand the importance of those connections, as well as just how vital it is to have careful analysis, objectivity, and a commitment to unbiased research and advancing the public good. With your knowledge and your skills, you're able to place objectivity above opinion. You're able to rely on data rather than first impressions, and to design and assess evidence-based policies to address the world's biggest challenges. We don't know what the future holds. As Nancy noted, this is an interesting time for the country and for the world. But with your analytic skills and your sense of purpose, I'm confident that we've made the most robust investment that we can in your minds to be able to help shape the future and help the world navigate the challenges ahead. Congratulations to all of you. It's now my privilege to introduce someone who's been a trailblazer in public policy and higher education leadership. With her dedication to service, her leadership, her towering accomplishments, Janet Napolitano is an inspiration. And today, she is our 2025 honorary degree recipient and featured commencement speaker. It is a privilege to welcome Janet so that we may officially recognize her as an honorary graduate of the RAND School of Public Policy. You're both already standing, so Janet, I'm now going to read your conferral citation. This is great. We're already on schedule. At the completion of the reading, Dean Stout has the honor of hooding you. Janet Napolitano has worked throughout her career to make communities safer and more secure and to promote greater opportunity and prosperity. As the president of the University of California system from 2013 to 2020, she sought to open higher education to more students, enrolling historic numbers of California undergraduates. As the U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security from 2009 to 2013, she led the nation's effort to protect the country against terrorist attacks, respond to natural disasters, and build domestic resilience. Her career has been a series of firsts. First woman to serve as the Attorney General of Arizona. First woman to chair the National Governors Association as the Governor of Arizona from 2003 to 2009. First woman to lead the Department of Homeland Security. First woman to lead the UC system. Forbes ranked Janet as one of the most powerful people in the world. This was evidence-based analysis. I can speak to that evidence. Time described her as one of the best governors the United States has ever had. Her many awards and honors include the Harry S. Truman Public Service Award, the American Council on Education Lifetime Achievement Award, the Woodrow Wilson Award for Public Service, and the Anti-Defamation League's William and Naomi Gorowitz Institute Service Award. She was inducted into the Arizona Women's Hall of Fame in 2022, and she continues to serve as the founder and faculty director of the Center for Security and Politics at UC Berkeley. We are honored to have her as a member of the RAND Board of Trustees, where she has served since 2021. Janet's expertise aligns with RAND's commitment to addressing complex policy challenges with rigorous research and implementation of the type that she has led throughout her life. For her dedication to public service, her leadership, and her towering accomplishments, the RAND School of Public Policy is pleased to confer upon Janet Napolitano the honorary degree of Doctor of Public Policy. Janet, congratulations. Just to be clear, as a doctor, you cannot prescribe medications or perform surgeries, but there's so much else you can do. The podium is now yours for commencement remarks. Oh, pictures? Oh, pictures first. Sorry. Okay. Now over to you.
Well, thank you, Jason, for that generous introductions. And let me just say, congratulations to all of the graduates, the friends and families who have helped you get to this stage today. As we all know, achieving any graduate degree, be it a master's or a PhD, is neither easy, nor is it a solo activity. So a special word of gratitude to the faculty and staff of the RAND School of Public Policy who have shared their knowledge and experience with you. Each of you has special people in your lives who have encouraged and supported you along the way. This ceremony is for them as well as for you. Now, graduation speeches are challenging. You need to be concise. We've all heard commencement speakers who think that because we gave them a robe or a hood, that they need to share personal memoirs of their whole life. Because why else were they invited? Concision, like the two student speakers, is important. And you should try for a little humor. A little levity never hurts. And finally, you need to have a message that is something more profound than today is the first day of the rest of your life. Ugh. So let me begin with what I'm not going to talk about. First, I'm not going to speak to the current state of the world and our country's place in it. You all have your own thoughts about the administration's disengagement from our allies and partners, our abandonment of leadership in international institutions, or the rise of a great power competition that is reshaping the post-World War II order. I know I have mine. Second, I'm not going to talk about how investments in things like basic research carried out by our universities and applied research carried out by entities like RAND have advanced our society and made America the leading economy in the world. Again, you'll have your own opinions about the value of the U.S. research enterprise. Third, I'm not going to talk about DOGE. Just not going to go there, period. Fourth, I'm not going to raise the future of artificial intelligence, nor its role in security analysis and policy. Simply put, we don't yet know what we don't know. And finally, I'm not going to recite noble grad student talk about the value of democracy and the importance of the rule of law. To quote the Declaration of Independence, these truths are self-evident, and I cannot improve upon these truths here. So what will I talk about today? Well, you're graduating from a public policy school, which means I assume that you are interested in making an impact on some future public policy, be it at the national, state, or local level. But how do you do that? How do you bring an idea forward to adoption and implementation? In short, how do you get stuff done? The answer depends in part on where you're starting. After all, there are a lot of think tanks and universities that conduct high-quality public policy research. But most policies that directly affect the public are adopted and implemented by local, state governments or by the federal government. These are large institutions spread across a large country, populated by hundreds of thousands, indeed millions of public servants with different areas of expertise, different jobs, different interests. So let's hypothesize that you are going to work for a large state or federal agency. How do you possibly get stuff done? Well, first, it will be important to familiarize yourself with how your agency works. You need to know its statutory powers and its statutory limits. You need to know what constraints the law and the Constitution puts on you. And you must familiarize yourself with its budget. Now, my first job between undergrad and law school was as an analyst on the Republican staff of the United States Senate Budget Committee. In fact, when I was campaigning in Arizona, I used to say it was the Republicans who taught me how to round to the nearest $100 million. Now, the Budget Committee was like an intense graduate education in how our federal government works, how spending decisions are made, and the role that politics plays in the process. I learned about rescissions and reconciliation. I learned the difference between the national deficit and the national debt. I came to appreciate the different interests espoused by a Republican senator from New Mexico or a Democratic senator from Maine. Now, the Congress was different then, not nearly so partisan nor so controlled by just a few members. But the budget is the budget, and it is foundational to understanding a government's priorities. When I took over Arizona as governor, or the Department of Homeland Security as secretary, or the presidency of the University of California, the very first thing I asked for during the transition was the budget. The very first briefing I requested was on the budget. The very first place where I made changes was the budget. Now, you may not become a governor or a cabinet secretary, but the budget will tell you your agency's priorities and where the resources are. If you want to get stuff done, you need to know it. You also need to understand how decisions get made and by whom. Who has the final authority to approve a program or to discontinue one? Lots of decisions, most get made beneath the level of a cabinet secretary or the governor. And knowing who has that authority will serve you well. It could be a regional supervisor or a department manager or some assistant secretary. So in that regard, you should also figure out the best way to present your ideas to that person, verbally, in writing, short briefing memos or PowerPoints, lots of graphs or pictures. Every decision maker I know likes material presented in different ways, and you undoubtedly will have your own preferences. You'll need to be persistent. You may need to recruit support from others who may not be in your particular group or department. Getting an idea to the relevant decision maker takes strategy and it takes work. Now, here's what I always appreciated getting: a short memo describing the problem to be addressed, several options for how to address it, with pros and cons delineated, and a plan for implementation. Who would do it? What would it cost? There's that budget again. What was a realistic timeline? What were the anticipated results? all are necessary factors to getting stuff done. And I could go on because there are so many variations on a theme here, but you're all smart, you're well educated, you can figure it out. A particular challenge will be mastering what in the federal government is known as the interagency process, particularly in areas of national security and intelligence. There are multiple agencies involved, each with its own capabilities and equities. An initiative to focus on drug cartels, for example, could involve the Department of Justice, the DEA, the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, and possibly the Department of Defense. A policy action sanctioning various exports could involve the Department of State, CBP, which is part of DHS, the U.S. Trade Representative, Treasury, and the National Security Council. Beneath this alphabet soup lies the recognition that the federal government is complex and you need to master that complexity to get stuff done. A final challenge is not just getting stuff done, but getting stuff done that matters. And by matters, I mean has a real and positive impact. Now, sometimes that impact is symbolic. When I was elected governor, my platform emphasized early education. Arizona had millions of young families, many of which were not themselves well educated. I thought it was a great idea to give every first grader a book from the governor that they could call their own, a book that would emphasize the value of learning to read. My staff were dubious. They thought the idea was shallow and performative, but I persisted. We raised the money from the private sector, appointed a committee of school librarians to recommend possible selections, and coordinated a distribution plan for the schools. It was, I must say, a resounding success. And we selected and distributed a different book each year I was governor. I have to say, it didn't hurt my politics either, because each of the books had my photo in it and a letter from me encouraging kids to read. First graders are future voters too. To this day, when I return to Arizona, people will come up to me and thank me for the book. Many will say it was the first or the only book they ever owned. Yes, it was a symbolic gesture, but it underscored for thousands of Arizona families the value I placed on reading and on education. At other times, a policy idea will have more than a symbolic impact. When I was DHS secretary, I was responsible for the enforcement of our nation's immigration laws. I was increasingly troubled by a group then known as Dreamers, a group of young people who had been brought to this country at a young age, had grown up here, went to college or joined the military, may have started a family, and knew only the United States as home. Yet they were undocumented. Many could not get a driver's license. If they worked, they were subject to exploitation. And they constantly had to look over their shoulder to see if someone from ICE was coming. Congress had tried, but failed to get the 60 votes needed to pass the DREAM Act, leaving it to us in the executive branch to figure out a solution. I asked my staff to give me the legal basis for and an approach for providing relief. Now, they came back with a plan that covered only those who were already in deportation proceedings, which in fact was fewer than 10 individuals. That wasn't good enough. Sent them back. And finally, they returned with what became known as DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. Using the legal theory of prosecutorial discretion, it was a program by which young people could enroll, pass a background check, pay a fee, and be protected from deportation, and also, importantly, get work authorization. President Obama approved it, and directed that we have DACA up and running in 60 days. We made that deadline, which was rocket speed for implementing a brand new federal program. And at its peak, DACA had 850,000 enrollees, young people who would go on to contribute their energies and talents to our country. All right. Now, here's a coda. When President Trump was first elected, he tried to rescind DACA. Now, by then I was president of the University of California, and we had thousands of DACA students. So the University of California became the first institution to sue to invalidate the rescission, making me, I believe, the first cabinet secretary to have directly sued her successor. The case went all the way to the Supreme Court, and we prevailed. And for those who enrolled, DACA changed their lives. Impactful public policy. Now, it's important to note that in getting stuff done, you need to watch out for unintended consequences. I have another story here. The biggest parade in Arizona and New Mexico is the Navajo Tribal Fair Parade. It happens every fall, and the parade begins on the highway in New Mexico and actually goes along the highway and ends in Arizona. The Navajo Nation has hundreds of thousands of members, and seemingly all of them return to the reservation for the tribal fair. And just about every elected official in New Mexico and Arizona marches in the parade, throwing out candy to all the children gathered along the parade route. Now, as I said, when I was elected governor, I ran on an education platform. So I announced that we were not going to throw out candy. We were going to throw out pencils. Good idea, right? Sounds good. Here's the problem. A thrown pencil is essentially a projectile. As we were throwing them out, people were ducking and weaving. We almost put out the eye of a Navajo grandmother. Plus, the kids were booing us for not having any candy. Lesson learned. Even good ideas can have unintended consequences. So watch out. Let me close with this. There are public servants throughout our history, all over our country, at every level of government, who can cite all sorts of ways they have improved the lives of others. And I am confident you will too. You will meet friends, colleagues, mentors. Public service is a team sport, but it will all begin with your talent, your ideas, and your commitment. I look forward to what stuff you get done over the course of your careers. Your degree from RAND will have prepared you well. Thank you.